Thank you so much for being here. My name is Tāriq Malik. I'm doing this interview. I'm one of the directors on PCHC, and I'm honored to be carrying out this interview.
Well, thank you, Tāriq. It's a real honor for me to talk to this group and talk to your listeners. I have a great story as a child of immigrants, and I think it'll resonate with a lot of your listeners who are also quite likely child of immigrants. To be honest, all of Canada is child of immigrants, except for the First Nations people. So we're all have an immigration story of some type.
Absolutely. So let's begin with your childhood. You were talking about growing up in Canada, and
yeah, I was born in a small town in Saskatchewan, in Unity, Saskatchewan. I had like 1,200 people, and we were the only Chinese family in this small town. At that time, I remember watching Sesame Street, and they only had 3 characters. They had a white children, they had black children, and the other colored children were Mexican. And so they were black hair, brown skin. We were outside all the time, so we had brown skin and black hair. They lived in a stucco house. We lived in a stucco house. So I thought it was Mexican when I was young, because there was no representation on the media of people that looked like me and talked like me and acted like me. So, you know, it wasn't until I was older that I realized that we were Chinese. But you know, it's a similar story. Is that, you know, people, we're not represented in our childhood as a main character. We're always, even now, it's the immigrant character tends to be the sideline, not the main character. So I encourage everyone to be the main character in their own lives.
Very much so. And then could you tell me something about your parents' journey here?
Yeah, my parents were, they had a restaurant. And so how the Chinese system worked is that my uncle sponsored my father and taught him, my father was a cook in China, and he taught him how to run a restaurant in Canada. And my mother followed my father later. And we also, you know, taught other families how to run a restaurant. And so that's sort of the Chinese colonialism is to go town to town with these small restaurants. That's why there's a Chinese restaurant in every town in pretty much the world, I would think. And,
so this is reverse colonialism.
Well, I mean, you know, the French and the Chinese love their food, and it's beloved by all.
And I hear you yourself are a good cook,
I do love to cook. I must say I don't do it as frequently as I would like, but I do enjoy cooking. I had the good fortune of learning from a great cooks, both my mother and my father, and all my brothers cook, and my sister. So our whole family has taught to be quite self-sufficient, which was required because both my parents were working full-time. They're working 14 hours a day, as you know, as new immigrants do. They trying to get ahead, and so they were. We were latchkey kids. We'd come home from school and heat up our own food. And my brother taught me to make fried rice when I was probably 9 or 10, and so that was my first meal. And I've taught many my peers how to make fried rice. So that's a history that's passed down.
So then your schooling takes place in Saskatchewan. Where does it happen?
Yeah, so I was in school for probably until I was in my early teens. Then we moved to Edmonton, and we had a restaurant in Edmonton. And then I moved to Vancouver out of a whim. I was tired of the restaurant industry. And my grandmother lived in Vancouver. I was very close to my mother's mother. She used to raise myself and my youngest brother, because there's 5 kids in the family. And my mom said, I'm overwhelmed overwhelmed by children. I need help. And so she came from Hong Kong to help out. And then I used to come visit her, myself and my brother. My mom would put us on a train from Saskatchewan all the way to Vancouver, 24 hours by herself. I was 7, he was 9, and my grandma would pick us up on Main Street at the Main Street terminal, and we would spend all summer in Chinatown or in the downtown east side, and it was fantastic. It was a great summer. We'd have the P&E, and it was time to go home.
Yeah.
And it's taught me a lot of independence. So I guess that's.
Are you the eldest?
I'm the youngest.
You're the youngest.
I'm the youngest.
And you feel responsible for that?
My family tends to be quite self-sufficient, but we are very close. We help each other when we can. Absolutely. Yeah.
So then, when did the move take place to BC? So.
Yeah, in 1991, I was. I guess I'd finished a shift at the Four Seasons in Edmonton. Back then, they had a Four Seasons, and I was tired of the restaurant industry, and it was 2 a.m, and I drove to Vancouver on a whim, and I was downstairs at my grandma's place, and I dialed her up and said, "Granny, I'm downstairs," and so I had nothing. I had just my driver's license and my tip money, and I had to wear some granny panties and granny t-shirt and all polyester outfit. Drive back to Edmonton and left my job and came to live with grandma here in 91. And I was learning to fly at that time, so I became a pilot and I managed flying
why
school.
flying? So you're moving from food?
Yeah, to
Okay.
flying. Well, why flying is fun. There's a municipal airport really close to downtown in Edmonton. And you're driving along the highway and planes are literally landing almost on top of you. And I thought, that looks fun. That looks like a plane. That looks like a car with wings. So how hard can that be? I can drive a car. I can drive a plane, right? I can fly a plane. So I turned into the airport and I said, how hard is it to learn to fly? And they're like, get in the plane, let's go for a flight. And that's it. So I started in Edmonton. I came out to Vancouver and out in Boundary Bay I learned to fly, and it was super fun. And then the CEO was very close to me. We'd talk, and he was having problems with his flight school, and I said, well, I mean, the problem is it's your problem because you're not hiring the right people. Just hire me and I'll clean up your staff and make things happen. At that time I was only like 22, I think, and I had no experience in business. I had no experience in retail, but I had utter confidence that I could do at least as bad of a job as the staff he had there. So I was like, the bar is very low here. We can only go up. So that was my belief, and so that's what we did. And I turned that school around. We went from like $100,000 in revenue to like $1.5 million in revenue, and we added 10 planes. We were the busiest school on the tarmac, and it was crazy busy. Super fun. Yeah, that was a good time.
And then you left that?
Yeah, because a small business, the nature of small business is that you do a job and you get good at it, and then you peak because they just want you to do the same thing over and over, which just making money wasn't fulfilling for me. I found I wanted to do something for the greater good, to advance society, to make the world a better place. And I didn't want to just do a business. So I wound up flying with a friend to the Bahamas, and we ran a hotel there for a small amount of time. And then I came back to Edmonton to help my brother. My mother had bought a restaurant from him, and he was doing really well, but my mother and him didn't get along well, so he asked me to take over, and we did. And then my mother rode me into the ground, honestly. She's like, let's add another shift for breakfast because we're doing so well. So they had lunch and dinner, and then we had breakfast. So it wound up, I was doing 90 hours a week. 90 hours a week in 6 days. I'm like, this is 2 full-time jobs.
Yeah.
And we did that for 2 years. And I'm like, Mom, I gotta go to school.
Mm.
This is too much work. I cannot work in the restaurant industry for the rest of my life. So it's my mother who cracked my will, and said, this is going to be your life if you don't utilize your mental capacities. And thank you very much, Mother. You did a good. It was like I was a spoiled pony, and she made me realize, the danger of just doing what's easy instead of taking on the difficult, doing what you and really maximizing your natural capacities. So sometimes discipline requires, a little encouragement.
Yeah, and so that's fascinating. In addition, you have this attitude of why not? You just
absolutely. I think that's a lot from sending me away for the summer. Myself and my brother, we were like able to do anything. We would go to Army and Navy and buy fishing gear, and we'd go fishing off the dock. And after supper, we'd leave Granny's, and we wouldn't come. We'd just play around the downtown east side, and until the 9 o'clock cannon at Stanley Park blew, and then we knew it was time to go home. So we had utter freedom, and because of that, I just never felt like that you should be limited by what people say you can't do, because it seems to me there's almost nobody's born with any skill. We're all babies, and we learn things. So if you can learn X, Y, Z, it's highly probable that I can learn it too, and it's quite likely that I can do that if you can do that.
Yeah.
So there's why limit yourself? Why not try it? Because even if you don't succeed, you actually become stronger from trying something.
And you've acquired new skills.
Absolutely.
In the process.
Absolutely.
And then later on, this can-do attitude of yours evolves into something that makes you some kind of a change maker.
Yeah, so with my university degrees, I joined the government. So I did my undergraduate degree in political science and then an MBA. And I joined the government to, at that time, I needed a master's degree to join the Foreign Service. But, and so I joined the Canadian International Development Agency, doing international aid, and then Foreign Service, and then at the end, the CFO of the Treasury Board asked me to join her team as her senior advisor. So we were managing Canada's $250 billion budget. And when she had a sticky problem that couldn't be solved, she would send in, they called me La Petite Roulette. La Petite Roulette is a little steamroller. So they would send in the Quan, and when things went wrong, I would have to go and fix it. So I'd have carte blanche, and I would bring whatever the problem was into line. So whether it be a strategic plan that's never been written, or new rules of engagement, or the help desk was not very helpful. They called it the helpless desk. So we fixed all these problems because it's like, what are the two drivers of behavior? The number one is transparency. Number two is accountability. So if people know what you're doing, and you know what you're doing, and you're accountable for it, then you'll do the right thing. That's you can manage any organization with those two basic precepts: accountability and transparency.
So this feeds into this motto of one person can change the world.
I agree that. I was really inspired by Gandhi. He has a quote, be the change you'd like to see in the world, right? And it just strikes me as all these people who are change makers are always an individual who see that there's a problem and that they can fix it. And I felt that we all have that capacity within us to fix a problem, large or small, and we should do it. If you see a problem, then it means you probably can fix it.
And then there was something you were telling me about running out of oxygen, the peak of Kilimanjaro. So how does that come about? I mean, you're going from here as a steamroller and you're ending up at the Kilimanjaro.
Yeah, I really enjoyed working for government. It has a broader mandate is to to do the public good, things that society needs. I felt though that I could be more engaged to do something directly. And in 1997, this is during the peak years of Ballard.
Yeah.
They've been in business 40 years now. The fuel cells, I thought the next fuel cell I'm going to get, the next car is going to be a Jaguar with a Ballard fuel cell in it. Okay, they didn't exist now. They don't exist now. They didn't exist then. So fast forward 15 years later, I'm on Mount Kilimanjaro, and at 20,000 feet, maybe it's like the low oxygen or something, but I felt, why am I the only one seeing this problem? That why don't we have hydrogen phones or hydrogen computers or hydrogen everything? Why are we still stuck in this sort of climate change world? So I felt like, I see a problem, I see a solution, but other people are not seeing it. And it is up to me to bring this vision to life, because other people can't see it. You can only run a marathon when you think you can run a marathon. It's 40 kilometers, it seems impossible, but once you get in your head that you can do it no matter what shape you're in. I've done many marathons, and I wasn't a runner. I hated running. I could barely make it down 2 blocks. But then one day I just printed off Learn to Run, and I decided to do it, and now you can do it. So it's just one step in front of the other, and it's the vision. Once you have that vision, you just have to go for it. So I left my government job, much against my mother's urging. She's like, oh, don't do it. And started this company with my co-founder and life partner, Mr. Mark Cannon. I pitched him on our first date about hydrogen, and 6 months later we moved to Vancouver, started a company. And I was going to do, we're doing a solid state nanomaterials store hydrogen under low pressure, because one of the issues, it's not about generating hydrogen, it's about transporting it. So the tanks are a big key. And so we started our own company. We brought people from around the world to work on this technology. And then I funded it through private investors and government fundings. I used to run the Center of Excellence in Grants Contributions, so I have a lot of grants contribution experience. And so right now you can see that hydrogen is top of mind for for governments, for population, and we have to get out of this climate change, fossil fuel world if you really want to get to the next level. There was a time when we had steam engines, we had a time when we had coal-fired plants. I think those times we moved out of it through technological advancement. I think we're going to move out of the fossil fuel era the same way.
Wonderful. And of course, this attitude of yours to get things done, you must have encountered several of these glass ceilings that we talk about, like race and equity and being an immigrant.
Absolutely. I mean, fundraising, the way venture capitalists treat women than they treat men is completely diametrically opposite. So they'll say, I was in many of these fundraising pools, etc. They'll ask a male entrepreneur, how are you going to achieve your vision? How are you going to make your 20 million, 100 million, whatever X target? And they would ask what they thought was the same question to the female entrepreneurs, but it was not the same question, it was the opposite question. They would say, how will you keep the business that you already made? So it's a fear-based question, not a hope-based question. And we never buy from fear. If these pants are making my tush look big, I will not buy them, right? It's the same one. It's same, that's fear-based, right? But if I hope I look fabulous, then I buy it, right? That's the same philosophy for venture capital. So you have to turn that around. Emotions drive people. That's how we do it. And so we need to believe in ourselves and tell ourselves a story that gives us hope. Because when you have fear-based stories, if you tell yourself, I can't do it, I don't believe in myself, I'm a woman so I can't do it, I have to go on maternity leave so why apply for it, you're pulling yourself out of the race. And you shouldn't. You don't need to. Just do what you want to do. If you believe you can do it, just do it. Even if you don't believe you can do it, just do it. That's my philosophy.
Yeah, so this philosophy dovetails neatly with the PCHC's mission and values in that way. Do you have anything that you would convey to listeners or viewers, especially people who are struggling in their lives at this moment?
Well, I think I've been very lucky in my journey to find great people like yourselves. I ask for help when I need help. I share my story. I believe in diversity. You're okay how you are. You're enough. You don't have to be better, smarter, faster. You're not the $6 million man. You are okay as you are. And believe in yourself. Life is the story you tell yourself. If you say if it's raining outside and you say it's a miserable day, you've already told yourself what kind of day you're gonna have. You say the plants are gonna grow, and it's spring. It's a completely different story about the same event. So just think about the story you're telling yourself and tell yourself a good story, because love starts at home.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I think we'll end on this note that life is a story you tell yourself. And I hope this message of hope conveys to our listeners and viewers. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
You've given up. It's
Thank
been
you.
fun. Thank you.